We're at 18,068 miles. I put my notification at 18,000.
It's good for 20,000 miles.
If I was to use AMSOIL, I'd never change it again.
Well, if I had my straw hat, I'd tell you something. 2020 Colorado with a Silverado motor. The oil changes are much easier. If you've ever done an oil change on a Colorado, right there, dangling right under the pan, and the drain is there. So some people will say you don't need to change your oil every 3,000 miles. You can go 5 or 6 or 7 or even 10,000 miles because new oils go forever. This is something for Paul, actually Tom at corporate. This is some Miata project he's working on. He's building a track car. This is a different plenum, going from a different motor to a 2.5 motor and a 2-liter, I think. So we've got to open up that. I'll maybe show you that on a separate video. I might build this up with weld. That way we have a bit more sealing surface here. We'll show you that coming up. Film this before we return it again. This is the fan we replaced it with. Let me show you what is going on. You guys are going to think we're absolutely bonkers. So slow speed. That's it. It moves a ton of air, but it's noisy as always. Noisier than the other one because it's on low. It's not moving a lot of air, and as you hear, it just hums. So is this fan number 3? Or fan number 4. But the first one was 2 of the same. This is like a drum. We got to test drive this one.
Yes, we did.
This was in the store. Is it any quieter? Is it quieter?
Much quieter.
It is, isn't it? That's a number 1.
Yes.
Just fits. As you see, we had to turn it the wheel because the handle hits the ceiling. There's the handle. Better.
So hot.
That'll work. Only sucky thing is the switch is on the back side, but it seems like they're all like that. But manifold is done. It is port matched to his gasket and then blended all the way through, cleaned up. Looks much nicer. He is picking that up today. You remember last time we went to Home Depot? It's my dad's birthday coming up and I've just got a card for him. So he is English, of course. He is very English. If you've ever dealt with English people, the card means more than anything. I could send him a Ferrari and go, hey Dad, happy birthday, there's a Ferrari in the driveway. Well, his thing would be, well, I didn't get a card. He's gonna go, but did you mail the card? I mean, I didn't see it. Is it come in post? You have experience this, haven't you? English people love a card. If you go to England, they don't have a big selection of things. Like in the US, you go down the cereal aisle, there's 250,000 cereals. But in England, they have like 3. But their card aisle, they have cards for days. Sorry you had a bad day. Sorry you caught a cold. Sorry your car didn't start. Sorry your car started squeaking. Sorry that you didn't get the job interview. Happy anniversary for 6 months. Happy anniversary for 7 months. Glad you got the job. Sorry you lost the job. There's a card for everything. English people love cards.
the stuff on the dash, but that will go away with driving.
The tire pressure monitoring is probably because we took the wheels off and too far away from it when we had the key on.
It's just because we rotated it without.
Oh, that's right. Do you want to put the scan tool in and just clear everything?
If the skin tool will clear all this stuff, we can. Otherwise, driving it will do it. It's just like the Type R when you put it in dyno mode. It just takes a little while.
So these, if you've ever dealt with this before, I think it takes like 15, 20 miles of driving to clear it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So now he's got a fresh start. He's going to have to tune it. He is going to set up a date with our friend Variable. But now it's good to go. All the codes are off. He's just got to brake in the clutch. I'd probably put maybe 400 to 500 miles in that clutch before he starts tuning. But he should be good to go.
Close the door and the icon goes away. So
Okay, we're all good then. All right. Don't forget the little doohickey down there.
You can turn this off so it like start beeping at you.
It sometimes does. Now we're off. That's probably one of the best functions on that thing. We were saying the only thing this needs now is a camera, because obviously you press this, you got a light, you can find the OBD2 port. But if this was a camera, imagine this being like a little drone. You could kind of just stick it in the hole and this would guide you. This is our good friend Jeff's car. He's doing all of that 3D printing for us. So when he needs something, just like we've joked in the past, he calls us at 2 a.m. and needs change for $1. We have to go down with every denomination we can and make sure that we got that covered, because he never asks for anything. He does so much for us. So he is here for brakes. Basically, we're going to do front and rear brake pads. And I think he said the rear brakes was sticking. So we're going to check. It could be the caliper, it could be the cable, but you guys know what this is. These are super cool, super useful, huge inside. In fact, George has one of these as well.
50,000 miles, too.
50,000 miles, that's unheard of.
A nice one.
A Honda with 50,000 miles is like a normal car with like 11,000 miles. So it's already getting hot in here. This is the FL5 exhaust bone stock. If you look at the FK8, they look very similar, but the FK8, the mufflers are a little bit longer, and obviously it doesn't have the variable valve. This is actually kind of nice because it goes from obviously quiet to loud, but on the factory exhaust doesn't make a whole lot of sound. What I want to do to this one is remove this muffler right here. This is 70mm right here, so I've ordered some 70mm material. I want to cut this out and go basically right from here, right to this section here in the 70 spot, and see how it sounds. These ugly bars here just really bother me. This is the top of the exhaust. You don't really see that. But from the bottom, you've still got one set right here that just looks ugly. So I'm going to be very careful to cut that out and see if we can eliminate that bar and build our own bar without having this muffler. It's going to be much lighter, but we still need to tie these three together to make sure these tips are nicely in line. So new OEM front pads and rear pads on the Element. Element is done. Call Jeff, come and get it. George adjusted the rear e-brakes because they were supposed to be hanging up, but now we can call him and say it's ready. But for right now, we're going to go to lunch. Jersey Mike sounds good?
Oh yeah.
That's good, because that's where the gift card is to.
Get some soda.
Almost forgot the cart. Heat advisory. Apparently, my wife called me. She goes, "This is a heat advisory." I said, well, you know what? It was only 97 in the shop today, where yesterday it was 101. That's current temperature right now. We just came back from lunch. When you close the doors, it gets hot quick, so we're cranking on the fans, try and get some air through here. Is that the last one?
Yep.
Esther is off sick today because we have had a really busy day. I wasted a battery on this clock. It managed to go about 3 minutes and die. Now it's working. Kind of feel bad. Anyway, time flies. Actually flies pretty well. Take two, because it flew so well. I kind of feel bad throwing it away now. I guess I should fix it. Now this is all new. Oh, it's the English car dial. Look at that. Excuse me, do you know where I find clocks?
Yes, there was picture frames right down here.
Picture frames?
Yeah. Straight ahead, right after the rods on the left-hand side.
Okay, thank you. Picture frames, clocks. That is the price we paid for them way back in the day. That's good enough. I don't know if I'm getting sentimental in my old age, but it's kind of, I felt bad throwing it away. It's like an old friend. I've had it so long. I've looked at this clock so much over the last 24 years, so now it's got a new lease of life. And what's kind of ironic is it stopped working at 9:33 in the morning, and it was 9:33 last night when I finished the clock and put the new parts in and set the time, so it's kind of ironic. I don't know. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that little segment. So the low last night in the shop was 90. It's 91 right now. George isn't here yet. He usually gets here around 9. I always get here early. This is our car we're working on. This car should be picked up today. We have an S2000 coming in any minute now for a clutch and flywheel, and I'm going to film that. How about that? You want to watch it? Keep watching and you'll see it. So it's 40% chance of rain, which would be nice for us because it'll cool it down, but I hate to put customers' cars out in the rain. I know it sounds silly, even though they're going to drive home in the rain. I like them to pick it up and it's nice and clean and dry, but unfortunately I gotta pull this car out and I'll put it next to my truck, and then this is the car we're working on. I'm gonna take this to Superior this morning. S2000 with 43,000 miles. So it turned out the wrap was not 3M, which is what they told us. It was some generic wrap, and what happens is it bonds to the paint, especially with the sun. It flakes off. I can scrape it off with my nail. The wrap that was on here got so badly baked it bonded to the paint, and it's discolored the paint. You can see now in this light, this is where the wrap separated. In some of the original videos, you'll see that shape. But when you see this car done, it's going to look fantastic. The OEM front bumper, the OEM replacement, you see the R on there. So that white car, we're going to try and fix the AC. The AC compressor isn't engaging properly. It seems like a clutch on the AC problem. This is the car here for the FX300 and the Clutch Masters flywheel. We're going to show you that as we go. George just brought us Starbucks, and the owner of the yellow car just brought us boba tea. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Is it kind of like Boba Fett? Boba tea. Very, very much appreciated. Thank you. That's pretty creative. I like it. If you've never heard this HKS, this is one of the best sounding exhaust, and it's such a simple exhaust. A lot of it is to do with the muffler right here. It takes a lot of the resonance out and allows the pure sound to go through without the drone. And it also has a pretty large resonator. One thing I'm noticing right here, see how close it is there? I'm thinking if he goes around the corner, that's gonna hit there. Always seems like there's a compromise. In fact, there always is a compromise. Just figure we'll show you what the clutch looks like before it comes off. That's the release bearing. That is the part that slides on here that we call the slide. It's actually
called a guide from Honda. It's not too bad, but it's a little bit dry. That is the feeling when you press the pedal, that sticky feeling, that squeaky feeling is often this right here. So we're going to take this clutch off. I'm going to show you the new clutch that we put on. If anybody wants to point out, hey bro, the bolts are half out, that's because I started removing them and I figured I should film it. We always send these flywheels out to be balanced. This was actually pretty good. It started at 0.8, now we're at 0.5. We had a few of those flywheels that just didn't balance out very well, so we would send them out and have them fixed. As you see, there's a couple of drill holes right here where they use to balance it. Basically, if there is a high or a low spot, they would rather take material off than add it. As close as possible to zero is better. The AP1s, by the way, they come in at about 0.8 to 0.9 right from the get-go, right from Honda. That's one of the reasons we like the AP1 flywheel. The AP2 is the heavy flywheel. One way to identify it, when you look on this back side of the cog right here, it's got all this material here where the AP1 doesn't have that. This is the heavy of the flywheel. One of the reasons Honda did this is to absorb some of the noise from the clutch, also for drivability. This holds a little bit more of that inertia, which means when you rev it, it holds energy in the rotational mass. There's a point of the RPM dropping and having that semi-stall shudder feeling that the AP1s suffer with. Also, this having drive-by-wire helps with that. But that's one of the reasons Honda went to a heavy flywheel. Smoother drivability, quieter drivetrain. Once you get the flywheel off, you can inspect the main seal. We always do this as just a precaution. You're already here, it doesn't take much time to do it, but if you see any leaking around here, that is usually a sign of the main seal. Same on the transmission, we've got to take that slide guide off, and there is a seal behind that that we include in our clutch install kit too. This is what it looks like behind here. This is the seal. Again, we include it with our install kit, and again, it's a good idea to replace that. The slide, same thing. Very important to replace it. It definitely makes a big difference. Let me get out of the shadows here. It will help with your clutch feel as well as the engagement of the clutch. Of course, the most important thing right here is to use a Nietzsche bearing. Even if you have a different brand clutch you like, always use a Nietzsche bearing and grease it up with some nice fresh Aurora grease. All right, ready to go back together. New bearing, new clutch, new flywheel, new slide, new seals, everything is happy. Nice coating of Aurora grease there. The lower bolts right here are often corroded, as you see, so what we would usually do is send off that corrosion, put a little bit of anti-seize on there. When we put them back in, the next person will thank you for it if they ever have to take it apart. I was assembling the shifter, cleaned it, greased it. This has one of those brass aftermarket balls here. We always see issues with these. And same again, tried to put the shifter in. This gets stuck in the lower portion, so when you push the shifter down, trying to get it into reverse, it doesn't pop up. This is supposed to slide in that piece, and it doesn't. So I'm not putting it back in. It sucks. I've never had good luck with these things. I'm gonna put the Honda one back in there. So the shifter is back in. I've put the ball in there like it should be. So the problem is that ball actually slides in there. I'm gonna show you on another transmission, but you couldn't push this down. The reason for pushing it down is so you can access the reverse. If not, if you push it all this way, this going straight back is 6th, that is 5th. So to push it all the way down releases it to go over so you can get reverse. So I'm willing to bet he never had reverse in this car, and it's because of that stupid bushing. Now it is tight, very precise. Stick with OEM, it's still the best. Just looking everything over, make sure everything is good, everything is plugged in. We always like to make sure all these clips are back. It's one of those little things, but it really makes a difference. The bolts I showed you earlier that are corroded are these right here. And it's one of those things by Honda, I wish they didn't do this, but these are open to the thread right here. You can't see I'm shooting towards the light, but by putting anti-seize in there, space grease as we call it, will help prevent that corrosion. And then in the event you work on it in the future, those bolts will come off, same as the subframe bolts. This has the spoon collars in there, but always put anti-seize on those bolts when you take them off. So let's get it down on the ground, check the operation of the clutch, check the fluid. Maybe we'll flush the clutch fluid because he said it'd been changed at one point, which means it might need bleeding. I think he said he had a master cylinder put in at some point.
The fluid looks pretty good. It does look low, so I think what we'll do is bleed it real quick, flush some new fluid through there, and we can check the adjustment and the engagement on this car. We just bled the clutch, that way it's got nice fresh fluid in there and it should be adjusted right. George is just climbing in. He's got those super JDM seats, which George fits into now. Actually, you fit in before, but now you fit better.
Yeah.
I couldn't get in that car if I was broke down on the side of the road and somebody had me the keys. So if you want to start it and do the preliminary clutch break-in, how does the clutch feel?
It's real smooth.
It's like butter.
Yeah.
So this is one of those clutch break-in things that we do. It's super overkill, but it just allows the clutch operation without any load on the wheels. On the car, I mean. It's just basically the load on the wheels themselves. And it allows basically the first part of the preliminary break-in. We'll do this for about a mile. But anyway, this is going to feel delightful. Bring it down to stop, just confirm reverse works. I put it in reverse and it felt completely fine. Nice. I'm waiting for him to text me back, but I'm 99% sure
And now you've
it didn't have reverse.
popped right up.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, I'll let you go. You could test drive that. I want to pull this one inside. We're working on this one next. This one, the SC compressor, is sometimes not engaging. We're going to see if we can fix the clutch so his AC will work. So the way the clutch works is the SC compressor, this over here that you can see that spins. When you energize the clutch, this attaches itself to the pulley and it spins the AC compressor. And what it does, it kind of engages and lets go and engages. There is a shim in there. We're going to see if we can fix that and get the AC to work like it should do. And if it does, great, because clutches and AC compressors are kind of expensive.
Yeah.
I didn't film that part because I had to use my hand, but basically I held the outside of the pulley right there, and George used the super tool that he got at SEMA how many years ago?
This might have been a 2017.
And we've never had it actually work. Every time we thought we found a really good use for it, it wouldn't work and we couldn't fit it in.
Oh,
this is the first time.
I had this on a 14. I forget what it was, but I broke the socket because these are like shallow.
Yeah.
I broke the 14 socket off before it would actually loosen anything.
So it almost worked. This is the first time it's worked. We can officially throw this in the dumpster now.
Yeah.
It's done what it needs to do.
But we could film it and I get my $50. The guy said he'd give me $50 if I could make a video of it.
Yeah.
I think he knows that you can't make a video of that thing in action.
He knows, yeah. He goes, good luck. When I put it on my workbench, it's the best thing ever. You use it in real life, no, it's not going to work. So we got the nut off. Is that going to come off, and a bunch of springs and bolts and bolt bearings fly out that we don't know how it goes back together?
I don't think so. It's been a long time since I pulled the clutch off.
Can't say that now.
No, but you can see how
Yeah.
wore out it looks.
Yeah, it is. Now we need to do something to push that further
So
together.
if you look in there,
There is a shim in there.
there's a little washer.
So if we get that washer in either
We just chuck this right out the front door
or
and then
make
put it back
a,
together.
make it a slightly thinner washer even.
Now it's a thin washer. As soon as I get it out of here, we'll show you.
The suspense right now for the viewers at home.
Yeah.
I
You
need
should
to
leave
put
this
some-
in full time.
I'm gonna put some dramatic music in here.
Or like that Benny Hill music.
That is a thin washer.
But that's enough to where it's gonna start grabbing better now.
Yeah, remove that, put it back on.
Yep.
We'll charge Christian like
700, I think.
700 Gatorades.
Yeah.
That's a lot. It brings us 2 Gatorades all the time to a point that now we feel guilty. We're gonna keep doing stuff for it.
Yeah, I think I'll give that a little scuff with a Scotch-Brite just to make it look
Yeah,
better.
because you feel the grooves on that.
Yeah.
That Scotch-Brite ain't gonna do a whole lot.
Nah, it'll clean it off though. But that's the problem.
All right, fingers crossed we fix it for you, buddy. If you're watching, hopefully this fixes it. If it doesn't, hey, we tried.
tell him this is a cross your fingers and hope it works repair.
Yeah, it is.
It's like a good thing you're a friend.
Yeah, yeah. And as Steve would say, we'll give you 100% of your money back for the 100% of the unused service.
Yep.
Sweet. Have you tried turning it on and off?
Yeah, it's cycled a couple times too, but I had Esther come out since you were helping him unload.
It disengages, all right?
Yep.
Okay. Sweet.
It disengages and then re-engages with one click.
Beautiful. Oh, that is awesome. He is going to be in love. Only going to cost him 2 Gatorades. All right, so we are taking this to Superior to drop it off, then dropping off the yellow S2000. Esther is following us in my truck. This is fantastic. It sounds like a race car. Hopefully that isn't somebody dropping off with us. Nope. So I have no bumper, so George is following us pretty close. So this clutch is brand new, as you saw. We just installed it. So I'm kind of doing the braking on the way, as much braking miles as I can give it. Which miles are more like clutch uses. I can't tell people 500 presses of the clutch because they'll assume they've already done it, and they haven't. So as much use on the clutch as you can, and of course keep the RPMs low. Just don't hit anything on the way out. So we dropped the S off. It's way back there. Now we got to go to... we need to go to the post office first because George ain't going to be able to get back there.
Yeah, on the way that,
That's George
on
right
the way
there.
here, I was behind our mailman. So,
Was you really?
Yeah, so he probably would have came today, but again...
Should we just
didn't
take
know.
them back, and then if you don't come, we'll take them? We know it's
No,
changed to the drop
You've
box.
already got them. You've already got them. So how about
know.
you just call George and tell him that we're going to the post office?
I decided there is room for George back there, and I'm not pointing towards the baby seat. We can move that. So we're going to go to drop that car off. Then we're going to go to the post office, which is that way, because our dude hasn't shown up in the last 2 days. Not ripping on him, but he hasn't shown up.
No.
We want to make sure your packages get out, and then we're going to get lunch. Have you eaten lunch yet, Esther?
No.
Okay, so we'll get lunch on the way back, and then got 2 more cars to deliver today. Christian is picking up tonight. That is our job for next week. All right, guys, it is 7:05. I gotta go home. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget, give us a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share, hit the bell, hit whatever you think, and we'll see you on the next video.